So you come into your room, you're ready to play some games on your PC, you hit the power button and you get nothing. As you can see, my monitors are completely off. My keyboards are not responding, but the computer's on. So what's the deal? What's going on, everybody? I'm your host, JD. Welcome back to the channel. And today we're doing a little bit of a troubleshoot video. As you can see, my computer is not working at all. I actually made a video about this before on a older computer that I had before I upgraded to this Ryzen build. I'm assuming it's a little bit of the same. Hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. I hope this video will help you out if you're experiencing the same issues that I am experiencing. And let's get into it. As you can see from this B footage, is the computer turns on. This is a Gigabyte Aorus Gaming 7 Wi-Fi motherboard, and this one has a couple features that helps you understand what's going on with your computer. If something's wrong, there's a code system there, like an LED code system. You'll see some numbers, maybe some letters, and that will tell you if there's something wrong with the system. Since it's going haywire, I can't really determine what the specific issue is. Since it's doing that, the next thing you need to look at is on the bottom of the board. This board has 4 LED lights on the bottom, and each light represents a boot sequence, I suppose. There's one for CPU, there's one for the RAM, there's one for VGA, and then there's a light for boot. If it goes through that cycle and nothing's wrong, all those lights will turn off, and then you'll get a post. If there's something wrong, those lights will continue to flash. In my case, it's flashing for CPU and DRAM. We need to take a look to see if the CPU, if there's an issue there. From my past experience, it's always been the RAM. There's always been something wrong with the memory. So we're gonna go ahead, troubleshoot the memory, and we'll go from there. See if that works. I know what you're thinking. JD, the computer is on carpet. Oh my goodness, you're gonna fry it. Oh, electronic static discharge, oh blah, blah. Don't worry, it's not a big deal. As you can see, the system's on right now, but I still don't have a post on my computer. So we're gonna go ahead and hold the power button, turn it off. Next thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go ahead and turn off the power supply by flipping the switch. Next thing I'm gonna do is pull out the power cord. I don't wanna accidentally turn the thing on while I'm trying to work on it. Make sure it's completely off. Sometimes there's still power in the system even though you unplug it. So I like to push the power button, hold it for a little bit, let all that power within the capacitors just kind of flow out. Next thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna open the case. I'm gonna have 4 screws right here, but we're gonna go ahead and remove these 4 screws that hold the tempered glass in place. I'm gonna hold on to it so it doesn't fall off while I'm trying to unscrew it all. Slowly remove the glass siding, setting that to the side. Before I do anything, I'm gonna just touch the case to kind of discharge any electricity I might have on me, so I don't shock anything and cause anything to get worse. For me, I have 2 RAM sticks in the system. I have one in slot 2, one in slot 4. I'm gonna go ahead and remove one of those sticks. When you go over with the sticks, you'll see there are clips on each end of the RAM stick that keeps it in place. I'm gonna go ahead and remove those clips, or not remove, but pull back. And with this one, when you push up on it, it just comes right out. Very easy, just like that. I went ahead and removed one of the RAM sticks, and I'm gonna go ahead and try and power this thing on and see if it boots. If it boots, then we know we got a bad RAM stick or a bad slot or both or neither. We're gonna find out. I'm gonna plug it in, flip the switch. We're gonna go ahead and press the power button. It's doing a little bit of the same. I'm seeing the same codes and I'm getting the same issues. I'm seeing CPU and DRAM, they're flipping. This could be that stick, it could be the CPU, it could be something else. I'm going to remove the other RAM stick. Comes out pretty easily, just like that. I'm gonna grab the other RAM stick that I just pulled out before. I'm gonna put that in the first slot to see if it's that RAM stick. So I went ahead and reinstalled the first stick that I pulled out. I removed the second stick. So we're gonna go ahead and see if that will solve the problem. It's looking as though it is not solving the issue. The next thing I'm gonna do is take that RAM stick, put it on the other slot to see if it works. As you can see, I just unplugged everything and there's still power in the system. So that's definitely why I like to power cycle, to make sure the power is all the way gone. Now we're gonna try and see if that solved our problem. That did not solve the problem. So we need to really figure out what's going on. It wasn't any of those things. We removed RAM sticks, we put new RAM sticks in, we put it in different slots. It ain't working. Maybe we're doing too much and it just is something as simple as clearing CMOS, clearing out the motherboard for whatever settings may have screwed up. Fortunately for me, this motherboard has a clear CMOS button on the back of the board. There's a power button back here just in case I can't access the power button here. So I'm just gonna press and hold it. See if that does anything. I'm holding it for 10 seconds. I'll release, and now I'm gonna hit the power button to see if that solves any problems. That doesn't solve a problem. I see nothing. Same problems. Got an issue. We removed the stick, didn't work. We put a stick in a different slot, didn't work. We put another Corsair stick, put it back into a different slot. That didn't work. Something's going on. We've done a little bit of research. Y'all see the issues I'm having. Apparently, it is very possible that the BIOS has failed on this motherboard. That would give us a actual reason as to why it's going crazy. We're not exactly sure why it's going crazy. It was just a modest overclock on the CPU and the RAM. Put them up to what they were rated to do, which I believe is 3200. So I'm not exactly sure as to why it's doing this. So what I'm currently doing right now is I'm putting everything back together as I found it, but I'm going to switch the BIOS. This Gigabyte X470 Aorus Gaming 7 Wi-Fi motherboard has dual BIOS. So my idea is that we can switch the BIOS. We might be able to post. But if that's the case, I'm very concerned. I don't understand why it would crash all of a sudden. And this is apparently a common issue. I would consider this catastrophic, because what happens if I switch over to the other BIOS and it doesn't work? Or we switch over and eventually that BIOS does the same thing. Everything is on. And so I haven't switched anything yet. I'm gonna turn it on to make sure everything is at least getting power, and that is the case. It's still going haywire. Both the CPU and the RAM lights are on, like not on at the same time, they switch. Let's go ahead and flip it off. And we're gonna go ahead and see if switching the BIOS will change this problem. There is a switch. It's right on the side of the RAM. There's two switches. One of them is for the BIOS. There's a main BIOS and there's a backup BIOS. The second one indicates whether we run it in dual or single BIOS. What I want to do is I want to switch to the backup BIOS. And so I'm going to do that by flipping that bottom switch from 1 to 2. Let's see if that solves my problem. All right, so we have switched the BIOS on here, and I guess with some motherboards, there's like you got to press and hold the power and reset button for 10 seconds for it to switch. Some of them it's just a switch on the motherboard. So we're going to see if that solves our problem. Let's hope it does. Hit the power button, see what we get. I know it's going to take a while for it to get together. I hope it solves itself, but let's give it a minute to see if we get a post. Because I know when it comes to BIOS updates, it can take a while. And there are some different codes happening here. So we're going to give it a minute to see if it will post. Should probably plug in our video card to the monitors. Actually, they're both DisplayPort. So that's good news. Oh, what do you know? Ladies and gentlemen, we have officially posted. Problem solved. It was a BIOS issue. So it looks like the single BIOS or the main BIOS on that motherboard has failed. Don't know why that is. But just in case you are experiencing the same issue that I experienced, double check your hardware, make sure everything's seated right, make sure everything's in a good place. If it's doing the same thing, do some research. That's what I did. People said they were having the same issue and they noticed it was a BIOS issue. So what I did was I switched from my main BIOS to my backup BIOS. We're back up and running. But the question now is, for how long? I think I'm going to go into the BIOS, get everything back to default, make sure no overclocks are affecting the BIOS, which I don't know why it would, especially when cooling is not an issue. That is a concern. It is unfortunate. So it is what it is.
It is what it is.
Thank you very much for watching. I hope this was helpful, and I hope y'all have a wonderful time. Happy gaming.
It is what it is.